Hey everyone, welcome back to Off Brewery. Today we're brewing up a kettle sour. If you've seen in the commercial marketplace, kettle sours are really kind of, I guess, creating a renaissance of sour beer. Probably most of the beer that you see that is sour that's in the commercial marketplace is more than likely kettle soured because it's fast, it's relatively inexpensive to do, and it's a kind of an easy way to get a different beer into someone's portfolio. So for the most part, it's just like any other brew day. You mill your grain, you mash just like you normally would. For the most part, you boil kind of like you normally would. There's just a few little intermediate steps that you need to take. I think a lot of people, or at least when I first started getting a kettle souring, my biggest concern was cross-contamination. I don't want to get any bacteria on my clean equipment, just because you don't want your regular beer turning sour. And those are all really good concerns. But it's pretty easy to mitigate some of the risk. So like as an example, I have separate equipment for anything that's going to be touching or potentially touching sour beer cold side, so after the boil. So like I have this like black marker that I put on here, sour only, and this is what I use instead of a wine thief. If you have a wine thief, I don't know, I just find that they leak a lot. Get a turkey baster. They're cheap and they're easy. They work really well. And then the process, like I said, is pretty simple. You mash like you normally would, and I'll get some video of all this kind of stuff. And then you don't have to boil after mashing, from what I've found. If you have a beer that's only going to be up to say 5 or 5.5%, you don't need to do a boil. You're doing a boil after that point to kill the lactobacillus, so the bacteria that you're kind of going to create after you do the souring process. I usually do, so that way I can use my equipment pretty interchangeably after the fact. So after you mash, you'll sparge like you normally would, and then I take it up to a boil for usually about 15 minutes. Just because that way you can kill any kind of other bacteria or competing bacteria that might have been on the malt. It doesn't really take much to do, it's pretty fast. Then you cool down. I cool down to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, 37.5 or something Celsius if you do that. At which point I pitch these. They're probiotic pills. These have a blend of different lactobacillus cultures. You can pitch just a liquid lactobacillus, that's fine too. I know people have used yogurt, have used things like Good Belly shots, although like a liquid, they kind of come in like a little carton. The only thing I found is I can't typically find them without flavor. They're mango or peach or something, which if you don't want that in your end beer, I believe from what I've read that some people have some of that flavor carryover. Using pills like this, cheap, easy. I mean, it's 140 capsules. I think I got it for like $8. There's also a couple different strains that you can get. The main one that people will use is Lactobacillus plantarum, or Lacto-P. It's cheap, it's fast, it works anywhere between 70 and 100 degrees, and you can usually get a souring for in 24 hours. You can make a starter out of this, and you do a starter the same way you would with regular Saccharomyces, and from there, except for you don't use the sac, you just use the pills. Take the pills or the little capsules, twist them, open them, dump the contents, and that's really about it. So let that run. When you're going to do the souring port, so after you boil, you cool down to 100. I usually take a heat blanket and wrap it around my carboy. After you take that initial boil, cool it down to 100, pitch your lacto. So you have that, but you keep it in the kettle. Don't transfer that into a carboy at that point. Keep it in the kettle, put a lid on the kettle. I found you don't need to put plastic wrap or anything like that over the top. I think it's fine without doing that. I have a heat blanket, and then I put another blanket around there. 24 to 48 hours later, I usually leave it for 2 days just so I get the conversion. I'm not typically actually going to measure a specific pH. That's good enough for me. If you want to try to hit a certain pH, okay, you can take more readings. But that's really kind of your prerogative. After that 48-hour period, take the kettle out and boil again, or don't boil again. This is kind of this kind of stage that's up to you. Typically, like I said, I will boil again, because that way you kill all the lacto, so you don't have to worry about the cross-contamination into your non-sour equipment. If you choose not to boil, that's okay too. Just know that whatever vessel that it's going to go in is now going to potentially have lacto, or is going to have lactobacillus on it. So typically people use glass or use a dedicated fermenter that's specific to sour beer. Mark it however you want to, but just keep in mind that it's going to be it may be difficult to get cleaned or 100% clean and sanitary if it's not glass or stainless. So the choice is yours. What I'll do is I'll boil for probably the same hour that I normally would. I usually have a very small late hop addition to get a couple IBUs, and then from there you just ferment like normal with any kind of Saccharomyces that you want. Usually have 1056 or some kind of Belgian strain laying around. You just want something that you know is going to ferment out fully, and at that point you have sour beer. The recipes are pretty simple. You can find these online for basic blonde or kind of Flanders style sour recipes. I typically you do something that's blonde, because then I can add any kind of fruit. You can dry hop. It's very versatile at that point. So I'll get some video of the brewing process. Like I said, it's very simple. Watch kind of these basic instructions and you'll be able to do it too. So best of luck doing it. I hope you enjoy the video, and just know that it's fun. It's easy. Don't be afraid to experiment. The worst case scenario is you screw up a batch and you have to dump it. Not a big deal. So enjoy. Thanks. All right, so mash is complete, and now I got everything. I'm waiting for the boil. And in hindsight, I wasn't sure if I was 100% clear when I recorded the first part, but I am boiling this right now for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to cool it down to 100, pitch my probiotic, wait for 2 days, boil it again to kill the lactobacillus that is now in the wort, or is going to be in the wort at that point, and then I'm going to cool it down and pitch sack just like any other beer. Now, I want you to repeat something with me. At this point, before the souring happens, you will not put in any hops. 0 hops, okay? 0. Hops are made to inhibit lactobacillus, particularly lactoplantarum, which is what I'm going to be using, or that's what a lot of the blend is. So do not put in hops yet. If you want any hops in later, you can do it after the souring period when you do that boil. This is really important. Don't screw this up, otherwise more than likely you're not going to get sour beer. Pretty basic. So I'm just going to boil, and I'll probably check back when I'm pitching my lacto, and I'm going to put a heat blanket around it, and then we wait. So 48 hours after that, like I said, I'm going to boil. I'm probably not going to show that because all I'm doing is boiling. I think I'll probably put a couple IBUs worth of, I think it's French streusel spalt is kind of the one thing that I use. Just kind of takes away a little bit of the sweetness and adds a little earthiness. And then after that, it's just pitching some Belgian yeast, and I wait, and then we're done. So hopefully this has been informative. I know it may have been a little bit all over the place, but I don't script any of this stuff, so I just kind of try to do it off the top of my head. As always, if you have any questions, please post it below. In the comments, I put the email address that I use specifically for this channel. I know that this is sort of, I'm not sure what you want to call it, but this is what everybody else does. Subscribe to my channel, click on the bell, blah, 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 so you get all the notifications and stuff when I post it. So hopefully, like I said, this is going to be helpful, and you're going to try to kettle sour. I find it to be a lot of fun. I love sour beer, and it's really easy. So if you like this video, please let me know, and hopefully it's helpful. Okay, last 2 probiotic pills going in, just like that. Just crack them open, and I said we'll wrap this in a blanket, and we'll come back in 48 hours.
So it has been 48 hours. Actually, I think it's been a couple days since. Right now, it's just got the regular sack yeast in there fermenting away. It was a little more active a few days ago, but really there's not much else to see. You know, once you kind of get through this kettle souring process and then pitch the sack, it's pretty much like any other beer. So that kind of wraps this up. If you have any questions, let me know. Leave it in the comments below, or as always, I'll leave an email address. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and happy brewing. See you next time.